Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday News right here on 3FM 92.7. We come to you live from our studios here at Adisa Wikanda in Accra and our numerous affiliates across the country. We're also live on all our social media pages, especially Facebook as well as X. Coming up this morning, President Akufo-Addo tells UN Climate Change Conference currently taking place in Baku, the capital of Azerbaijan, that Ghana remains committed to its Paris climate goals. Also this afternoon, we'll explore the number of presidential aspirants disqualified from the December 7 presidential elections and the reasons given by the Electoral Commission. And much later, tension brewing at the Voter Regional Secretariat of the GPRTU over refusal by old executives to hand over to the new executives. We have details of these and many more coming up in the next 30 minutes. Please do stick and stay. My name is Judith Brown. Well, we begin from the headquarters of the Electoral Commission because as many as 12 presidential aspirants have been disqualified from the December 7 presidential elections. Now, the cause for the disqualification, a failure to gather the appropriate endorsement from nomination forms to meet requirements as provided by CI 127. Now, this has forced the Electoral Commission to strike out political parties and independent candidates from the race to the Jubilee House, with the latest being the disqualification of Philip Apiakubi, also known as Roman Father. Let's hear from Jean Mensah, the chairperson of the Electoral Commission. We'll give you details on the matter.
You may be aware, the Commission received notice of the home call of Madam Bikuya Donko on the 29th of October 2024. Per Article 54 of the 1992 Constitution, and Regulation 13.4 of CI 127, the Commission wrote to the Ghana Freedom Party and provided them a period of 10 days within which to file a new candidate. Article 50 of the 4 of the 1992 Constitution reads, where at the close of nominations, but before the election, one of the candidates dies, a further period of 10 days shall be allowed for nomination. In that respect, the Commission wrote to the Ghana Freedom Party and asked them to present a new candidate within 10 days. In fulfillment of that request, the Ghana Freedom Party presented Mr. Apiakubi, who was before then the vice presidential candidate to Madam Bikuya Donko. The party presented him as the presidential candidate of the Ghana Freedom Party. He and the party went on to submit their nomination forms on the 5th of November, and our technical teams went to work immediately reviewing the nomination forms. At the end of the process, they detected a number of errors and some illegalities with the form. The candidate's attention was drawn to these errors, and the party was provided an opportunity to correct them. They did that. In the view of the Commission, it was not in our bosom to provide the political party the opportunity to correct some of the illegalities that we found on the form. In that respect, the party did not draw their attention to it because the Commission does not feel that it is in its bosom to allow any political party to correct illegalities with the form. The Commission, therefore, as at yesterday, wrote to the party and to the candidate disqualifying him from contesting the 2024 presidential election.
Well, you heard there, Madam Jean Mensah, chairperson of the Electoral Commission. We know that the latest, however, being Philip Apiakubi, also known as Roman Father, joins the long list of 11 already disqualified candidates who, in one way or the other, failed to meet the same requirements. Let's look at the Political Party Act, which regulates political parties' formation and the activities. And if you're joining us via Facebook or X, you can see the graphics right there on the screen. And let's talk first about Section 9 of the the Political Party Act, and it says that the Commission shall not register a political party under this act unless the party has on its National Executive Committee one member from each region. The party has branches in all regions and is, in addition, organized in not less than 2/3 of the districts in each region, and also that there is in each region or in its district at least one founding member of the party who is ordinarily resident in the district or is a registered voter in the district. That was Section 9 of the Political Parties Act. But let's now head to issues on the public elections regulations, and that will be CI 127. And this has to do with nominations of candidates in presidential election. According to the CI, it says that a candidate for election as president shall be nominated on a nomination form in a manner determined by the Commission. It also says that a nomination form for each candidate in an election for president shall be signed by the candidate, beside by not less than 2 persons who are registered voters in the area of authority of each district assembly, designate a person to serve as vice president, and be delivered to the Commission on or before the day appointed as nomination day in relation to the election. But what, however, comes to the fore is the sheer number of aspirants who have been disqualified over eligibility concerns by the Electoral Commission, with questions arising over what possibly could be the challenge. Who is failing to do their job? Or what is the requirement, and is it a bit too strenuous? Well, let's get some answers from Dr. Joshua Zato. He is a senior lecturer at the Department of Political Science at the University of Ghana. Good afternoon, sir. Now, Doctor, if you look at the criteria for filing the nomination, it's pretty straightforward, yet every year some aspirants don't meet the requirements. What really could be the cause?
Good afternoon to you, and good afternoon to all your listeners. I think that the Electoral Commission of Ghana has been very, 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 very lenient with political parties in Ghana. I think that is one of the biggest faults and the biggest weaknesses of the Electoral Commission so far, that their leniency with regards to some of these things, it's often can be seen as the weakness and may hamper their ability to perform very well. The Electoral Commission, to some extent, is also a regulator. But I think that sometimes the Electoral Commission forgets, ignores, or sometimes trivializes their regulatory rule or aspects when it comes to how to deal with political parties. And so they deal with these political parties with kid gloves. That is why any Tom, Dick, and Harry could just get up, say they have a political party. Meanwhile, these are all tiger political parties.
And when you say tiger, what exactly do you mean?
They exist only on paper, but they do not exist in reality or in structures. And so they are paper tigers. They are paper tigers. And the Electoral Commission has allowed them to continue to survive. And that is why we've seen this.
So are you saying the Electoral Commission is not doing its job properly with regards to requirements of these political parties?
Exactly. When it comes to this particular aspect, this regulatory aspect of the Electoral Commission has not been done very well over the years. Because you must understand one thing that is very important. The Electoral Commission sometimes wants to be everything to everybody at all the time. And once you do that, we don't have any, in political science, we don't have any test to say that, okay, you have what it takes to be a president. You, this political party, you have what it takes to form the next government. This president, we don't have any president school, you go to school there to come up and say, okay, you can be. We don't have that. So now the way the public is able to value that and to come to that decision is to see, one, how that political party runs its affairs. So if you look carefully at the legal requirements for being qualifying as a political party, they include inclusion, they include regional representation. They want the party to look national in character and to have their roots in almost every corner and cranny of this country. To mean that when you then win, that national character, that national flavor will show in both in your government and how you run affairs. That is the way they want to. That is the one to. And so when we see that, we say, okay, if this is how your party is, then when you win, your government is likely to replicate. And so that is the, so these political parties that are only existing on paper, they have qualified the basic. They don't have the basic requirements needed to run or to even form a government. And that is why a good number of them fall. I believe that if the Electoral Commission were to still to bring that, you see, you cannot only just look at the normative requirements, which are just the constitutional requirements, but you must also go beyond and look at the empirical requirements, the physical requirements. And I believe that if the Electoral Commission were to give equal weight to both the normative legal requirements and the empirical physical requirements, most of these political parties will not make it to the ballot.
So basically, from what you're saying, if the EC is supposed to be stringent on the Political Parties Act with regards to requirements and all that, most of these political parties will not even make it to the ballot paper. Is that what you're saying the EC should do? They should be stringent?
Exactly. And Ghana will be better for it, and our electoral process will be better for it.
So at this point, where we've reached, there's already the issue of the fact that some of these political parties are already on the ballot paper. What really do you think should be done with regards to the number of disqualifications currently that's happening? Are you really saying that the political parties have no role to play with regards to these disqualifications?
I'm saying they are disqualified because they were never qualified to be there in the first place. I'm saying that even those that are there, we could have easily disqualified 5, 6 of them and just left 2 or 3 political parties to run. So I'm saying that these disqualifications are too few. That there are some people that are not supposed to be there, they are there. And then look, if you're a political party and you are disqualified, you have absolutely nobody but yourself to blame. That means that you are already a tiger political party and you have no business wasting our time.
So with this election, Claire, we know that everything has already been done. But lastly, before you go, moving forward into other elections, of course, 2028 and other future elections, what really should be done with regards to these requirements? What should the EC do clearly to ensure that these political parties meet their requirements and most of them are not just allowed on the ballot papers?
Why should the Electoral Commission ensure that they meet their requirements? They should meet the requirements. All the Electoral Commission should do is to enforce the law, to play their regulatory and policing role. It is not the Electoral Commission is not supposed to babysit political parties. The Electoral Commission is not supposed to coach political parties on what to do, what not to do. Enforce the law. If you are a political party, a national political party, you aspire to win the national elections, you aspire to rule this country, and you cannot meet the basic fundamental legal requirements to even qualify for elections, you have no business participating in that election.
Right, many thanks for your time with us. That is Dr. Joshua Zato. He is a senior lecturer at the Department of Political Science in the University of Ghana. He's been speaking to us on this particular issue. Let's move on to some more stories. And there's ugly drama unfolding at the Volta Regional Secretariat of the GPRTU following a decision by the national executives to force out from offices the old executives of Branch 2. Now, for 2 years, the old executives have refused to leave office despite the election of new executives in April 2022. Correspondent Faisal Abdu Idrisu, he is going to join us shortly. He is joining us from Ho with updates on this particular development. We are trying to reach him. We are working the lines to reach him. But of course, we are talking about the fact that there's ugly drama unfolding at the Volta Regional Secretariat of GPRTU following the decision by the national executives to force out from offices the old executives of Branch 2. Our correspondent Faisal Idrisu has joined us. He's from Ho. He's bringing us updates on this matter. Faisal, good afternoon. Now run us through the issues at GPRTU Branch 2 and also bring us up to speed with happenings there this morning.
Well, so in April 2022, the GPRTU had their election. That was after several legal actions against the officers in the office at the time who were accused of overstaying. After that election, the old officers proceeded to court with the argument that they had earlier secured an injunction on the election. From the conversations ongoing, we are told that the court actually ruled against that action and asked that they allow the new elected executives occupy the office. But since 2022 up until today, the old officers continue to occupy the office. The new officers have never been inducted. They have not been, sworn into office. There have been several actions against them at the national level, including the National Executive Committee inviting the old officers to Accra. We are told that they declined that invitation on separate occasions. Then recently, in October, the National Executive Committee took a decision that they themselves will move to Ho, force them out of office, and hand over the office to the new executives. This morning, they came here in the company of the police to enforce that action, only for them to be met with resistance. They were not able to meet the vice chairperson of the old executive, the secretary, and one other person who are told to be leading the gang of old executives, except the second trustee who was there earlier and made an attempt to prevent them from accessing the office. As I speak to you, we are still here waiting for more than 2 hours to see the next line of action.
Now, Faisal, where is the delegation sent from Accra at the moment, and what more should we expect?
The delegation is currently locked up in a meeting at the police headquarters. We are told that the old executives who, when we got here, were not available, have also joined them in that meeting. After the meeting, the next line of action will be revealed to us. But the newly elected chairman, I'm forgetting the name, Mr. Dubache, actually told us that they are waiting for the outcome of that meeting. Once the meeting is over, they'll be telling us what exactly will be the next line of action.
Well, many thanks for your time. That's colleague or correspondent from Ho, Faisal Abdul Idrisu, bringing us details on this developing story. Let's do some more. And the presidential candidate of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, is commencing his campaign in the Western North region. Now, this comes shortly after John Mahama's recent engagements with clergy and creative arts stakeholders in Kumasi on Monday and Tuesday. Well, former president is on nationwide campaign to sell his vision and proposals for Ghana's growth. In the past months, he has been canvassing for votes in various regions as part of his Mahama for Change 2024 campaign. Now, in the NDC stronghold of the Western North region, the former president is expected to meet chiefs, local authorities, and opinion leaders, as well as interact with party supporters and residents. Now, let's head to the camp of the MPP. And flag bearer of the MPP, Dr. Mahmoud Maubia, has lauded the government's initiative for rolling out the Planting for Food and Jobs program. Now, he says that the initiative has ensured food security, which has made Ghana to be ranked as the third country to be food sufficient. He was addressing chiefs, clergy, and Muslim clerics at Ejura at Setri Dumase as part of his tour of the Ashanti region.
And vocational education sana jumano free so akaho na yankwada omo pese omusia nsana jumano omo timiko free ekosia lalanom teacher training allowance o mampenyi dada twe mono yedi ababiom yetua nursing training allowance o twe mono yedi ababiom yetua yedi shishe bebre aba munyina munim so the Planting for Food and Jobs ebaye ebeboa ikuafo you remind them ikuafo doors wa Planting for Food and Jobs no na Dr. Usu Akotofi honor minister for food and agriculture na onono ukuta Planting for Food and Jobs no but ama eduane abagana ha and Ushe Africa Hainina, the whole of Africa, Amaya a com anyho, Amaya a Diane Ewoho, Ubruni Freno, food security. For all of Africa, Ghana is number 3 in Africa out of 54 countries in food security.
Well, on Constituency Watch today, we take you to the Adentan constituency, where there seems to be a hot contest between the MPP and the NDC parliamentary candidates. Stanley Nibelu has the report for us.
The Adentan seat, deemed a swing constituency in Greater Accra, was created under former President John Agyekum Kufuor's regime in 2004, following the splitting of the old Ashaman constituency. The constituency shares boundaries with Ashaman, Bonkatamanso, La Madina in Kwantanan, and Tema Metropolis. The cosmopolitan area hosts people of different classes with several developmental needs. The presence of bad intercommunal roads, potable water, high cost of living, and soaring unemployment rates among the youth have been tipped to be the major deciding factors for the constituent's choice for a representative in the legislature in the December 7 elections. But before this year's general elections, the constituency has produced 5 parliamentarians since 2004. The late Kwadwo Pariado was first to be elected on the ticket of the New Patriotic Party in 2004, but his quest for a second term in office was unsuccessful as he was unseated by the NDC's Kojo Edu Asari, who served between 2008 and 2012. The NDC's Emmanuel Ni Ashimo took the baton from his predecessor in 2012, but served just a term. In 2016, Yabuabina Samoa secured the nod of the constituents to represent them on the ticket of the New Patriotic Party, but lost to the NDC's Mohamed Adamu Ramadan in 2020. Mohamed Adamu Ramadan is seeking the mandate of the electorate to renew his term in office, but this will only be possible if he defeats the NPP's Akosua Asa Menu Elias Kozi, who has proven to be a formidable contender. Here, the electorate appears divided. For NDC supporters in the constituency, a vote to retain the incumbent, Mohamed Adamu Ramadan, is a necessity. Menu and Charles are both taxi drivers working in Adenta.
Adenta had 2 times one.
Here in the Adentan constituency, MPs served only 1 term, but the electorates have reconsidered their decision this year. Adentan is not receiving the development that it deserves because of the 1 term given to MPs. Let's retain the incumbent MP so the constituency can receive development.
Actually, the main forest and the main
I can't blame the incumbent MP for poor development because he is in opposition. Any good thing intended to benefit the constituency and advanced by the incumbent MP is being sabotaged by the government.
But supporters of the governing party hold a different view. Isaac Kofi is a die-hard supporter of the NPP in the Adentan constituency.
We have already decided because the candidate who has the potential to bring development is the one who deserves our vote. Akosua Asa Menu is not yet an MP, but she has graded some of the inner community roads, making them motorable for us to ply.
A minute number of qualified voters in the constituency are confident of exercising their civic franchise, but they are not certain about the parliamentary candidate to vote for. Adipa, a sachet water vendor, is in this group.
Whether the country progresses or not, I am living in it. I only pray for life so that on election day, I will go out and vote.
Others say they have already decided who to vote for.
As I say, they decided my dream.
This is where I vote. I have already decided who I will vote for. This is not just about election. Our living conditions will inform our votes. My vote in this year's election will be informed by the developmental projects in the constituency. I am resolute in my decision and I won't change my mind.
It is clear that the December 7, 2024 elections will produce a 6th parliamentarian for the Adentan constituency. But the decision whether to retain the incumbent or opt for a change lies solely with the constituents. Stanley Nibleu, 3FM, Adenta, Accra.
Well, now, President Akufo-Addo says Ghana remains committed to its Paris climate goals. President Akufo-Addo noted that Ghana, under the Green Ghana project, has planted some 50 million trees to tackle the effects of climate change. He was addressing the ongoing UN climate change conference currently taking place in Baku.
In 2021, Ghana submitted updated nationally determined contributions to the United Nations, encompassing 47 programs to mitigate and adapt to climate impacts. Our goal is to cut emissions by 64 million metric tons by 2030, demanding investments between 10 and 15 billion United States dollars. Despite financial and technical hurdles, we're determined to meet the Paris Agreement's goals across agriculture, transport, forestry, energy, and other sectors. We have made strides. The Green Ghana project has planted 50 million trees, and forest restoration efforts have covered 721,000 hectares since 2017 when I came to office. 13 mitigation actions have cut annual greenhouse gas emissions by 43% since 2021. Ghana's national electric vehicle policy, backed by tax incentives, promotes sustainable mobility, and our energy transition framework steers us towards a green future.
Now, since September this year, roads linking hard-to-reach communities in the East Gonja municipality have been opened up to boost economic and health development. Communities like Bunkpa, Bau, Lamsa, Akrapi, Katanga, among others, have since been opened up. Let's touch base with my colleague Christopher Mwako, who was in the Bumpa community to engage with residents. Christopher, now how is the drip equipment assisting to improve road network in the area?
Yes, so Judith, since the arrival of the equipment in September in the East Gonja municipality, most of the roads that hitherto were deplorable and hard to connect hard-to-reach communities have since been given a facelift. You talk about the Lamsa Road, you talk about Bumpa, you talk about Yayili, and other adjoining communities have been worked on, and as we speak, residents are able to transport food items from these communities as well as able to access health facilities outside their geographical location. So the residents are happy that the drip equipment has come to improve upon their road network. Let's take a listen to what some of them have actually been saying.
Yada nyakumpansi na enda salasi nti beko na uchinu no kwada akabebi eno bese anaju 11 timi dinu moto so kwanu nye timi kuduru na yale no kula atimi no tina akwada no bebo 2 na akabebi se asala ayekwana amayanti yada nyakumpansi nyame ma wansan kanu ho na ono so hwese ono so hu se yawo ho nti yada salasi nti se dia kwani dia yada nyamia se dia ankesala ya ma nti se dia kwani ya kura se oyem how dia obetna atwi baska akọ na bibia okodro bibia an how bio no mo ahwe kama na asan ba kama nti se dia yada nyamia se nti wansan boy light kama na kwani se dia kwani ya na ya ni ji se dia ankesala wa ebun pa krom no yie kama
ya how no affairs e won say ya yale a ya ni kwan di be fe ho akọ hospital wasalara ana kuro no nso edo so nka ya hia clinic kura ya aka ho ana sisi na da nyame ase ya kuani edo na ya ohado ya kwan no nye nso no yetimi do ayiba yere agwa patam ka bia ntimi ba ha aba befa ameso ya kwoton anya kakra dito aduru ahwe yi na nkwala amande da nyame ase said the Uncle Sala, Wajina and Nansu, Atimia Buaya, Upper Grida, Ababa, Sisi, Kwenwe, Amayano.
Well, Christopher, if you're still on the line with us, we know that the arrival of the equipment resulted in some confusion, leading to some residents severely injured. Now, how is the earlier confusion affecting the implementation of the program?
Yes, there is still the politics of it because the NDC and its parliamentary candidates have always engaged community members that look, the drip equipment were procured from the common fund, and so they have to also take some glory for the work that is being done. Now the NPP is also saying that, look, it's under our government and we are in power, and so we decide where the equipment moves to at what point in time. And so this confusion still exists, but residents are saying that once the grid equipment is meant to develop the areas, what they are looking for is how the equipment will be moved to their roads to work on it. And so that is what they are looking for, and not who is facilitating it.
Ryan, many thanks for your time. That's my colleague Christopher Mwako bringing us details of that story. And that's how we wrap up the Midday News right here on 3FM 92.7. My name is Judith Brown. Pleasure coming to you. Stay tuned. Business is up next.
FM 92.7.
And hello there, good afternoon. Welcome to Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7 with me, Michael Ogbodu. Coming up, Bank of Ghana to fine banks and specialized deposit-taking institutions, SDIs, 12,000 cedis for violating outsourcing rules. Plus, Ghana's agricultural imports declined to $2.66 billion in 2023. Details of these and more coming up shortly. Please stay. And thank you so much for your time. Straight into our top story, as the Bank of Ghana has introduced a detailed outsourcing directive to improve governance and risk management practices across banks, specialized deposit-taking institutions, STIs, financial holding companies, and development finance institutions. Regulated financial institutions have until July 1, 2025 to comply with the directive, or they may face a penalty of 1,000 penalty units amounting to 12,000 cedis. This move underscores the BOG's commitment to bolstering the stability of Ghana's financial sector amid the growing trend of banks and SDIs outsourcing certain operations to cut costs and enhance efficiency. The directive outlines specific functions that institutions may outsource subject to prior approval and clearly prohibits outsourcing critical roles to preserve the independence and integrity of core decision-making functions. Away from that, Ghana's essential agriculture and related imports total $2.66 billion in 2023, a 2.5% decrease from the $2.73 billion in 2022, according to data from the United States Department of Agriculture, USDA. The USDA attributed this dip to limited economic growth despite an intervention by the International Monetary Fund. The USDA report highlights Ghana's dependence on primary commodity exports like gold, cocoa, and oil, with main agricultural imports consisting of wheat, poultry, soya beans, dairy, vegetables, and fruits. Amid this import dependency, the total value of U.S. agricultural and related imports to Ghana also fell by 15%, dropping from $126.28 million in 2022 to $107 million in 2023. The USDA noted that Ghana's underdeveloped food processing sector is unable to meet rising domestic demand, meaning imports, primarily rice, soya, and poultry, will likely continue to grow. Now, away from that, energy strategist Dr. Isif Sulemana is pushing for Ghana to harness its untapped natural gas reserves to increase supply and drive down liquefied petroleum gas (LPG) prices. The recent surge in LPG cost from 5 cedis 80 pesos in January 2022 to 18 cedis 50 pesos today has sparked widespread concern. Dr. Sulemana warns that this trend threatens Ghana's climate change mitigation efforts as consumers may shift to charcoal and firewood, exacerbating environmental issues.
LPG is a product that fortunately that we can get from both upstream and downstream part of our business in terms of the processing. We can get LPG a lot from a refinery. We can also get LPG a lot from upstream to midstream operations. Let's say from the gas directly coming from the wells, we can send it to a gas plant and we can get a huge amount of LPG. And also when we send the crude oil to a refinery, we can get a huge amount of LPG. In this area, in both of these areas, we are lacking a lot. At this moment in time, we need to have another train of Ghana gas. It's very, very important. We have a lot of gas or a lot of untapped gas within our reserves or within our shores that we need to take advantage of. If you do that, I will help to increase the availability of LPG, and then we can then gravitate towards affordability.
So that was Dr. Yusuf Sulemana. He is an energy strategist. Meanwhile, the LPG Marketers Association attributes the price hikes to excessive taxes on the product, specifically citing the 1.3 Ghana cedis cylinder investment margin and bottling plant margin introduced in April 2024 as part of the cylinder recirculation program. Now, the Ghana Stock Exchange has partnered with fintech companies to develop innovative products aiming to safeguard Ghanaian investors and minimize risk associated with fraudulent schemes. These solutions will address common challenges investors face and streamline access to the stock market. Managing Director Abena Amwa revealed that these products are expected to be launched by 2025. She shared this update with 3 Business during the Exchange's 34th anniversary celebration.
We are partnering with fintechs to develop a solution that can be on every phone. And anyone who has some saving can go on that app, open it up and see regulated investment products that are available. You can choose a broker, you can buy an insurance product, you can buy any investment, a collective investment scheme. We think tools like this are important to educate and make the investment process broad-based, so that every Ghanaian has an opportunity to grow their wealth using regulated investments. We also think it will reduce the risk people face from participating in fraudulent schemes. Many of the companies we talk to say it's a very cumbersome process to list on the stock exchange. We want to simplify that.
So that was Abena Amwa. She is the Managing Director of the Ghana Stock Exchange. Now we'll bring you more stories now, as the Bank of Ghana has issued a stern warning to all foreign exchange market participants to strictly adhere to the established forex market regulations and guidelines. This follows the suspension of the foreign exchange trading license of Consolidated Bank Ghana (CBG) for 1 month, effective November 26, 2024, following breaches of foreign exchange market regulations. Meanwhile, financial analyst Patrick Abankwaba has urged the Bank of Ghana to continue its crackdown on financial institutions that violate forex regulations. He emphasized that a well-regulated foreign exchange market is crucial for stabilizing the city.
My only hope is that the bank will put its house in order within the period which starts from 26th of November, so that by the time the 1 month is due, their systems have been cleared and they are back on operation, so that their customers will not be affected by the bank's inability to trade in foreign currency, and also help their businesses to go through the period, especially looking at the season that we find ourselves. Most of their clients will be in the period of importing goods, transferring monies for supplies and all of that. So this is going to really affect the operation. But I hope that this becomes a good call for them to streamline their processes and ensure that they are going according to the rules relating to the foreign exchange market regulations.
So that was Patrick Abankwaba. He is a finance expert. On that note, that'll be all for today's edition of Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7. For more business stories, please check out our website. It's 3news.com/business. I am Michael Ogbodu. Thank you for listening. As always, please stay safe. Up next is Urban Blend with Ras Kobe. Stay tuned.